Hey everybody, it's your baby Dana LaRae, and this is a very joyous episode because guess who's paying their car off next month? Your girl. I wasn't gonna talk about this, but then I've been talking to some of my loved ones and they're like, no, like you should actually share your journey to how in the world you managed to pay your car off in 8 months. I know. Trips me out too. Little backstory to what happened to me when I moved to LA in 2022. I moved out here right before I was gonna hop on the road because I'm originally from Chicago. I was gonna make my drive from Chicago to LA because I have to take my vehicle with me, and I had loaded up my car with all the things that I wanted to bring. Like, I could have shipped it, but honestly, I really enjoy the scenic route from Chicago to LA. It just feels like an adventure in its own. I say a month before I was supposed to get on the road, it was probably October and I was gonna leave November 2022. My Ford Fusion Hybrid started acting up. That car had been with me for a good amount of time. It was a 2017. I'm like, okay, this car, it's been holding on, but it started having transmission issues. I was debating on if I was gonna take it on the road, try to make it to LA and get a new car when I got to LA, or if I was gonna buy a new car in Chicago and then drive it down to LA. My car went out before I could make that decision. So the Ford Fusion Hybrid goes out, right? Can't drive it, don't wanna replace the transmission. To put a new transmission in an outdated car just didn't make sense to me. Now, I got my money's worth with that Ford Fusion Hybrid. It was a good car, you know, I think it got to like 180,000 miles and it was just like poof, right? I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? I got that Ford Fusion Hybrid from CarMax. So I'm like, let me go see what they have in stock out here in Chicago that I could potentially buy to take to LA. So at the time I was thinking, okay, I have my shea butter business. I do a lot of pop-ups. I do a lot of drop-offs. I need something that's gonna be spacious enough to carry all my inventory. But I also always have been a super fan of like SUVs. So I opted into an SUV and I opted into a Kia Niro. It was nothing impressive about that Kia Niro. And I feel like I picked that car out in a time constraint because I had to hurry up and move into LA because my lease started November 1st. So I remember getting the vehicle at the end of the month of October and I'm like, okay, let me get on the road. All my things fit in it. It was cool. I got to LA and I just kind of always looked at the car like, you know how you get something because it's a time constraint versus getting something because you want it? That's exactly how I felt in that Kia Niro. I used to get in that truck like, okay, it's cute, but it didn't have any personality. And it was a used vehicle, by the way. So there was this little bitty pepperminty smell that I could never quite understand. I was like, where is that peppermint smell coming from? And it wasn't like one of those used cars that had been driven like 80,000 miles. I think it was easily under 30,000 miles, but I just never really cared for the truck. I didn't care for it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I really didn't care for that note. That note, child, I didn't like it. So I guess my energy always was felt by the Kia, and I ended up totaling the vehicle. Crazy. I'm on Melrose and Highland out in LA. This big SUV comes right in front of me from the side as I'm proceeding forward with traffic. It's my green light to go, and I end up smacking the SUV at the tail. Like, it almost made it past me. I didn't know it was gonna come into my sight. So I ended up smacking the end of it, but the front of my Kia Niro was ruined. It was obliterated. It was like the whole guts of the car was in the front because it was a hybrid. I know I'm a hybrid girl. I always buy hybrid cars. I remember that happening. I was not injured. She was not injured. It was just one of those things where it was like, girl, what? So I'm like, all right, well, there's the Kia Niro. I think I literally only had that car or that truck, excuse me, for like 3-4 months tops before that accident. So to be honest with you, at the time I was distraught because I'm like, now I'm out in LA and I gotta hurry up and try to get a vehicle. And I don't know where I'm gonna go. I don't know what I'm gonna get. But the blessing that came was I had insurance, so they paid off my vehicle and they left me with some money for a down payment. But I didn't know what I wanted to get, and I didn't wanna hop into another vehicle like the Kia Niro that I didn't want. So I slowed down, I stopped, and I thought to myself, what would be the wise thing to do in this predicament? Now, me, I'm not somebody that can go without a vehicle. I've been with a vehicle since I was like 15, 16. As soon as I got my license, I'm out the door. I have to have something to drive. Chicago is one of those cities where you can really get along and around on public transit. I still need a vehicle because I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago, which means I'm used to driving long distances to get things, and it doesn't bother me, or just being able to maneuver my life around having a vehicle. So what happened was my friend Suni, shout out to Suni, I told her about my ordeal, and she ended up telling me like, well, I have this really old truck that I'm not using anymore because I got a new truck and you can have it. She was like, I only paid like $5,000 for it. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll just use it temporarily until I see something that I really want because I don't want to rush into another purchase. Child, listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm going to go on record and say I have been blessed enough to never ever drive a hoopty. This was a beyond a hoopty. I have always been in a position where my grandparents either granted me a car, or when they stopped giving me one, like cars, because I was so irresponsible, I went and got my own. Borrowing somebody's hoopty, I have never felt so self-conscious in my life. Every time I got out of that truck, it was so old, y'all. It was like a 2002. It was just like a 20-year-old truck. It was big, bulky, the paint was peeled on it. This is how bad it was. I used to go to Costco to put gas in the truck. She told me, she was like, when you put gas in it, don't fill it up all the way. Also, you have to jump the car to start it after you put gas in it because it registers as it not having gas in it for some reason. I didn't know what she meant until I pulled up to Costco, didn't fill the tank up, tried to start the car, and it didn't start. And I'm like panicking because I'm like, why is this truck not starting? Why is this truck not starting? I called my friend Suni. I'm like, yo, your truck's not starting. I'm at Costco. She's like, gently tap the gas and the brake at the same time. I'm not making this up. She said also make sure the car is in neutral. I put the car in neutral and I tapped the gas, the brakes back and forth. And she's like, now rev the gas really fast. So I revved the gas really fast and I hurried up and switched the gear in the drive. I had to start that truck like that every single time I put gas in it. I will never forget that. That was the most uncomfortable feeling in the world because everybody around me at the gas station is looking like, why is this girl drag racing? Why is she pushing on the gas to get out of the spot? And I just remember thinking to myself, like, how do people do this? I look crazy, I feel crazy. It didn't have air conditioning. I remember I got it when it was cool outside and then it started heating up and I was like, oh, this is not gonna work. I remember telling my friend Suni like, yo, you really did do your big one, but I need to figure out what kind of car I want to get ASAP because this is getting crazy. So I remember Suni was like, I mean, you could always just give me the car back. My friend Michael, she's a traveling actress, entertainer, dancer. She's like, you know, I'm not gonna be in LA. You can use my PT Cruiser. I'm like, okay, cool. So I give Suni back her keys. I run to Michael and take her PT Cruiser keys. That car wasn't a hoopty, but it was a hoopty. It had air conditioning. You could start the car without jumping it. It didn't have a seatbelt, number one. So I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna be driving a vehicle without a seatbelt. So I order a seatbelt off of Amazon, have somebody install it for me. But then the way her car rode so close to the ground, it felt like I was always lugging along as opposed to gliding along. I got sick of that real fast. I'm like, okay, you know what? God bless their souls for trying to put me on in a place of need with their vehicles, but neither one of these. Now, mind you, y'all, I sacrificed. I thought about this because I was like, you know what, Dana? You want to be in a position where if you do take on a car note, it's not going to make you feel like distorted and all over the place financially. Because a lot of people take on car notes and they can't really afford the vehicle, right? So I started watching Dave Ramsey. And he was talking about like how your car shouldn't exceed a certain amount of your income. And then he started saying like, if you could hold on to your hoopty, and you don't know the average car note now is $600, $700. And I'm like, he probably not lying. But I'm also thinking to myself like, these hoopties are driving me crazy. I don't know how long I can sacrifice. So I remember time had come. I had spent, I think, like 6 months in Suni's car, 6 months in Michael's car. I'm like, okay, it's been a year. Like I've sacrificed. And when I tell y'all, hopping out of both of those cars made me realize I will never tell another person how to feel when they drive a hoopty. I used to have a friend and she was in between vehicles at the time and she drove this car that was like a really old, it was just a weird looking car. I used to tell her like, nobody cares cares about your car? They're looking at your character. They're looking at you. No, listen. No, I called her. When I got in them hoopties, I'm like, hey, I want to apologize for belittling how you felt when you had to drive a car that didn't properly represent who you were. So she was like, what are you talking about? And I told her what was going on. She was like, it's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. We all go through it. So I was like, thank God. But I had to apologize because I didn't realize how those two cars were going to make me feel until I actually drove them. I felt like people were looking at me, judging me. It was just awkward, child. I'm just going to be real. And I don't care about material things. They don't make up my worth. But it's not that the car was old. It's not that the car was not a foreign car. It was that the car wasn't functioning. That's where I draw the line. When things aren't functioning correctly, oh yeah, that's uncomfortable. So I don't mind things that are old, that are well taken care of, but these two cars were hoopties. I sacrificed for like a whole year because I wanted to be super strategical when I got into my new vehicle. And I started looking slowly into what type of car I wanted. At first, I was gonna get a truck, because I was thinking about, okay, well, I might do pop-ups and I want to be able to always be mobile with my business. But then I realized like that part of my life had slowed down significantly because now I was doing a lot of my other business, which was organizing people's lives, as opposed to having a product-based business with my Shayla Ray skincare. So I was like, actually, I don't need to consider that the way that I thought I do. Now I just need to consider, what do I actually really want to drive? And when I started thinking like that, I was like, okay, it has to be something that is new, meaning it has to be under 15,000 miles because I drive my car. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'm going around the corner. No, baby. I am driving my whip. So I was like, I need a car that's reliable, good on gas, glides on the road, has a lifespan that's long. That Ford Fusion hybrid only having 180,000 miles, save it. I like a car that lasts at least 250,000 miles. Like, if it's well taken care of, I would like that. Then I start thinking like, actually, I want a vehicle with features too. Like, the vehicles that I used to own, because my grandparents used to get me trucks, that's a whole nother story, and cars and SUVs, they used to have a lot of features. Like, they used to have like pretty interiors, like the colors of the leather was pretty, the accents were nice. They used to have stereo systems that were premium, sunroofs, like the whole nine. And I'm like, I kind of want to, as an adult, I want that experience too for myself. So I started putting all the features, like a sunroof. I'm in LA, I want to be able to have the sun come through. I wanted a really pretty set of like interior, like I like those peanut butter looking seats, or like a gray, or like, you know, just a cream, like a light beige. I like those colored seats. Also was like, I want a stereo system that will bump, you know, my music, because I love to take long drives to get bubble tea. So I need a good stereo system. And I also wanted something that was known to be reliable. So I started putting all those features into CarMax.com, and I started noticing like the cars that stuck out to me the most, that I felt like were reasonably priced and that were reliable and had all those trim levels and all those features, were like Hyundais, specifically Hyundai Sonata Limiteds, and Toyota Camry like XLs. Like, I forget the trim on the Toyota, but that became a battle for me. I started looking at both cars and I'm like, okay, which car? And it's funny because they had both. It's so funny how this worked. They had a model of both cars that I really enjoyed. So Toyota Camry was all white with a blood inside, right? Had just about all the features I wanted, but it was missing a sunroof. And I was like, ugh. Then I started looking at a Hyundai Sonata Limited, and it had the sunroof, it had the peanut butter interior, it had the Bose sound system. And I'm thinking like, okay, the moment I sat, and this is the crazy part, I've never even conceptualized getting a red vehicle. I got in that car, y'all, fell in love. I fell in love. I melted in those seats. I was like, oh my God, this feels so Dana. Like, it's like a classic beauty. It's like, it catches the eye immediately. It's like a real bold lipstick red on the outside, peanut butter interior with like blackish gray accent, voice sound system, sunroof, plenty of leg room. It was only 13,000 miles on the car. And I remember getting in it and I was like, this is it. This is my baby. The price out the door, because let's just hurry up and get to logistics, was $25,998. So I'm like, okay, I gotta add the warranty, I gotta add the taxes. So altogether, it came out to about $30,000, right? And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, Dana, your credit is okay. It could be better. But what you don't want to do, this is what I have to stress to everybody when they're like, how in the world were you able to get out of a $30,000 car in 8 months? I sat there and I thought to myself, how much money am I going to have to put down? How much am I going to have to pay every month so I don't have to excel paying for this car for longer than 1 year? 1 year. That's all I got in me, because I think my APR was sitting at like between fair and good. And I'm like, I don't have the time. I don't have time to be eating a bunch of interest, because what people don't think about when they sign these contracts, and me, I'm in business. So I'm a Virgo too. I'm a life path 8. My mind goes to numbers quick. If something doesn't add up on a piece of paper and it doesn't benefit me, my grandmother always told me, if they don't get you in a wash, they'll get you in a rinse. And I saw that this car was going to cost me $9,000 additional if I took that 5 years to finance the vehicle. I was like, oh no, I'm not paying nobody no additional $9,000. That will make this car go from 30 to 40,000. Absolutely not. So the woman at CarMax, I wish I remember her name. She was so sweet. She was so good. I told her, like, I'm about to be out of this car in 8 months. She said, I believe it. Like, wait, I'm not playing with them. I gave them, at CarMax, I gave them $6,000 down, which made the financing $24,000. I got approved for my financing for $24,000. And for the last 8 months, I've been giving CarMax $3,000 every single month. Now, I want to say this to everybody that's just like, you go, girl. It was not hard. No, sirree, Bob. I do not like unnecessarily giving my money to things that do not give me a return. Was it at times annoying to be like, let me hand over this $3,000 even though I want to do this and that, or I want to invest here, or I feel like I deserve a new comforter set? Yeah, I'm gonna be real, I'm human. I wanted those things, but also the way I work my life and my businesses, I'm a real life businesswoman and hustler. This whole time that I haven't been able to utilize that money on myself and I've been putting it on a car, I was like, okay, time to pick up the other stream of revenue and make it count. Make sure you got the money to live the way you want to live. You know, keep yourself aesthetically pleasing, nails, hair color, traveling, eating out. I just had to budget my money in a way where I could still live. Now, I'm not taking a bunch of trips now. Trust me, my friends have been around me taking trips. They've been traveling more than me. When I traveled, I had to make it business. Oh, I'm about to travel. I need to be doing something with my shea butter. Or I'm about to go out to eat. Let me make it something where I'm by myself and it's reasonable. Like, I've had to cut back, but I haven't had to completely stop my lifestyle. It's a good thing that I'm actually in a space too where I don't value drinking alcohol. I talked about that in my other YouTubes. So I'm not out spending a bunch of money popping bottles in the club trying to be in some sections. Even though if you cute, you can get in there for free. What I'm trying to say is this was the perfect time for me to hone in, be serious, make a commitment, and get ahead. And to be honest with you, 8 months of sacrifice versus 5 years and $9,000 extra, that's simple math. If nobody can get why this was easy for me to do, then maybe it would take somebody understanding priorities from my perspective. But I also want to say, and I want to give grace to this, because I was ready to accept this assignment and because I have been thinking so consciously on how I spend my money, how I grow my money, where I put my money, I got myself in a position where I can afford to give $3,000 a month to CarMax. So I know people are like, okay, well, how did you get that kind of, extra money? It's like, hustle. You got to get what you want. If I didn't spend that $3,000 every month to pay off that car, I would have put it somewhere else. And if it wasn't growing my money, then it was a waste of my money. Now, I know certain people are probably like, well, I got too much overhead to do that, or this is why when you get in situations where, like, I lost my vehicle and I had to drive a hoopty for a year, 2 different hoopties, this is when your mind's supposed to go and start being wired around. Now, when I get in a position to win, I'm winning. I'm not doing nothing with my money that's going to prolong me from getting where I'm supposed to be so I can do what I want to do. This video, I hope, reaches who it's supposed to reach. I know times are different, tariffs are going on cars, the economy is crazy, people are losing their jobs. This is more of a video to let you know, focus, lock in, When you get an opportunity, take it and make it make sense. Don't be so lackadaisical. Read a contract. Understand what you're signing up for. Like my grandmother said, if they don't get you in the wash, they get you in the rinse. Pay attention to where your money goes and where you want it to go and how it should help you. Make those dollars work. I'm not some financial guru per se, but priorities are everything. I hope this helps somebody. Comment in the comments if you have any questions about what I did, what I said. I hope I wasn't confusing any numbers or makes of cars or anything. I try my best to keep everything organized in my head. So I love you all. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace.